Realism and imitation. So when we start talking about realism, some of you will say, wow, we're back to where we started here in this course. We're back to this idea of Plato, that part of the role of art is to imitate the world and create an imitation. Yeah, what Plato called mimesis. Yeah, and you can remember that Plato was talking about his famous analogy of a bed, that a carpenter's bed was a version of an idealized form of a bed that we can't see, and then the artist's rendition of a bed is yet another imitation. It's imitating the carpenter's bed. So the bed is twice removed. So again, it's an imitation. Now, if you look at the works of art behind me, these are all photographs from the 1940s of Eric Hawkins and Martha Graham. I have a collection of these, and so one of my rooms in my house, you can kind of sit. It's great to read in here and sit with Eric and Martha. But you can say these are photographs, and there's a kind of realism to them because these are modern dance. That a photograph is not modern dance. Modern dance is not a photograph. But within the form of a photograph, we can imitate and we can create an imitation and a representation of that world of modern dance. And particularly what I love about this world, this was the time when Eric Hawkins and Martha Graham were together. Yeah, so it was during these 12 years where so much happened in modern dance, and it's a fascinating time in the world of the modern dance world. So here we have that in a series of photographs. Yeah. Now, realism is a kind of theory that art imitates, it represents, it resembles, it copies, and it mimics life. Yeah. And there are many ways that we bring the world as a subject into these art forms, whether they're photographs, whether they're paintings, or even whether they're dances. Yeah, that image in the back is Martha Graham in her piece, Letter to the World, famous, one of the most iconic photos of the modern dance. Martha Graham, it's called The Kick, but within the piece itself, Martha's even bringing in an imitation where she's creating the character of Emily Dickinson, the famous poet. So here we're seeing that brought into the subject matter also. And again, it's part of that imitative world. Now, most art in the 20th century has a lot of realism in it. There's representation to it. And you can even say in the ballet world, we even use pantomime as a way of bringing in to tell the story for the times that the dance it has difficulty because we don't have the words to tell the story. So even pantomime is a kind of mimetic miming that brings in these ideas into the world. And most art does have a kind of metaphor. It can have a kind of narrative. If we get very dramatic with a work of art, it can actually tell us a story, and we can see the characters and their evolution of how they change from the beginning of the journey to the end of the journey. And we apprehend that. All of these things are kinds of realism and ways of dealing with it. Now, if we look back, we looked at this kind of sliding scale from first to second functionality when we looked at the first and second functions. So some of the ways we get at it in the dance world, we've already covered. And they relate to this topic because here, if we look at the sliding scale, we could have a dance that is just pure movement. There is no representation. We're just to understand the movement in and of itself and for its own sake. So that we might call a formalist or abstract dance, yeah? But we could also have a lyric dance, which is largely emotion. That is what we're showcasing is the emotional state of the world, of an emotional state that human beings feel. Um, and that perhaps fits into our category here of expressionism. Yeah. But anything later, when we start to get a metaphor, where a dance becomes about a subject, when a dance becomes a character, when there's a scenario, a sequence of events, and then when we get to a drama in a dance, all of that takes us into this world of realism. And you can see how it gets more and more complex. We could have a metaphorical dance that is just so simple. Like, imagine that someone wants to create a duet and they want to call it Child's Play, and it's two dancers, but the dancers are representing children. They're just being that metaphor or these simple characters. You can say the children don't want anything, they just want to play in the piece. So there's no drama to it. But again, we've looked to the world, we've found some realistic attributes, and we brought them into this world of a dance. That happens quite a bit all over the place with various subjects. And you can see that's what Martha Graham did here when she did her letter to the world. She was interested in probably communicating both the emotional world of what it felt like to be Emily Dickinson, but also the realistic world of what Emily Dickinson went through in her life. And she wanted to make a dance that represented that and brought that realism into that place. So there's kind of just, this is a kind of fascinating and wonderful way. I encourage you to look at the dance works or the artworks around you right now. So often, if you're a choreographer working on a concert, you'll see that people have quite a few different ways that they're dealing with realism. And it's often that question when someone asks you, what is your choreography about? It's that moment saying, oh, my piece is about children. I'm doing a dance called Child's Play. And I just want to represent what it's like to be a child and to play. Yeah. So those are quite wonderful and great.